Welcome. We are a body like Bruce, and for you loyal, die-hard Bruce Lee fans, we found this ancient book, magazine, in the public domain, public access. So we thought we'd bring it to you, fans of the late great legendary martial artist, philosopher, creator of Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee. And this is the great pop portrait magazine, Popstar, number 23, must have been in the 70s, probably from the UK, looks like it says monthly, 15 pence. Kung Fu is here in this exciting issue, fantastic full colour action packed Bruce Lee poster. So I'll have a look at that. And it asks in this article, here at last the truth behind the legend, Bruce Lee, did he have the secret of the touch of death? By the looks of it, there's a fold in the middle of the page. Well, it can't be up because that's a very old magazine by the looks of it, old copy. And it reads, hold on to your seat, kids, everyone has gone Kung Fu crazy at that particular time, probably 70s, late 60s. Fast and Furious fist and foot fighting epics like Enter the Dragon, Fist of Fury and Hapkido are packing cinemas all over the world. The exploits of Kwai Chan Kane, alias David Carradine, from the TV series Kung Fu, keep millions of fans glued to their TV screen every week. Kung Fu actors from Hong Kong are touring Great Britain with a live stage spectacular featuring real fights. Kung Fu clubs, some good and some downright dangerous, are springing up like mushrooms. Thousands of kids who used to discuss the best way of taking a goal kick now concentrate on perfecting their flying drop kicks. And if credit is due to anyone man for starting the craze, that man must surely be Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, a handsome American Chinese of perfect physique, lightning reflexes and a skill in the martial arts of China that was almost superhuman. Bruce Lee, the 5'2" philosophy graduate who after only 5 major films became a superstar. Bruce Lee, who at the height of his fame suddenly and mysteriously died. And here's some stills from the movie Enter the Dragon. Was Bruce Lee killed by secret Kung Fu masters? A shocked world heard the sad news in July 1973. Bruce Lee had collapsed and died in the home of a friend in Hong Kong. He was 32. The exact circumstances of his death were and still are a mystery. Immediately the legends began to grow. Some say that Bruce Lee had for some mystical reason willed his own death. Others that he had made one mistake in a fight sequence and failed to stop a fatal blow to the head. The strangest and creepiest theory was that Bruce was murdered by Kung Fu masters who resented him revealing secrets of the ancient art. How could anyone kill the invincible Bruce Lee? It is said, or was said, that a master can kill with a touch, or the damak. The touch could have been delivered at any time and Bruce wouldn't even have noticed. The official cause of death was listed as a hemorrhage caused by a weak blood vessel in the brain, or cerebral edema. We may never know the truth, but Bruce Lee's memory lives on and it won't be forgotten in a hurry by anyone who has seen his films and gasped at his leaping, flailing, ferocious and devastating style of kick fighting. Bruce Lee's secret name, just as Bruce's death is a mystery, very little is known about his life. He was born in San Francisco in 1940 and named Li Xiaolong. This means little dragon. The name turned out to be prophetic, like the mythical Chinese dragon. He was destined to become a legend. From the age of 3 to 18 he was raised in Hong Kong. His father was a well-known star of Chinese opera and a kung fu expert. When he was 12, Bruce began to study the ancient Chinese art of self-defense and was a master by the time he was 18. Okay. Then he returned to America to study philosophy at the University of Washington in Seattle, USA. What is Kung Fu? Philosophy was very important to Bruce, as it is to anyone who wants to learn Kung Fu. Kung Fu is not a method of defense. It was invented possibly 3,000 years ago by Buddhist monks. The monks taught humility, patience and peace. They forbade their converts to carry weapons, leaving whole villages at the mercy of gangs of bandits. So the monks, with plenty of time for observation and study, developed Kung Fu as a form of self-defense. They learned the secrets of the body's nerve centers and how to kill or disable at a touch. Kung Fu turns the aggressive force back on the attacker. A master must avoid trouble rather than restrain the attacker. He must restrain rather than hurt. He must hurt rather than maim rather than kill. For behind the whole thing is the regard for the sacredness of life. The words of Kung Fu mean hard work, and hard work it certainly is. It takes years of discipline and training to become proficient, for a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Meditation is a vital part of the training. Kung Fu teaches incredible quickness of movement and how to walk without a sound. It develops amazing resistance to heat and cold. In China, it is said of a Kung Fu master: listened for, he cannot be heard; looked for, he cannot be seen; felt for, he cannot be touched. It is also believed that he can walk through walls. There's Boroyong dealing to these inept security guards on Enter the Dragon. Yang Zi, black belt in Jiu-Jitsu or something like that. He's in many films. Bruce Lee's climb to stardom. There's an article on that. More stills from Enter the Dragon. And asks, could he beat anyone in the world? Understandably, Bruce was proud of his body and his skill. To tell the truth, he once said, I could beat anyone in the world. He had an unnerving habit of suddenly flashing a karate punch at you. It never connected, but you could feel the wind. He took great delight in demonstrating his astonishing skill at unexpected moments. Producer of Enter the Dragon, Fred Weintraub, tells a story that is typical of Bruce's style. Wherever Bruce went, Fred explains he was always being challenged to fight. It was a bit like being the fastest gun in the West. Many a self-confident youth was dying to find out if he was faster. A young karate student, a film extra once, walked up to Bruce and said, I don't think you are so fast. I think I can beat you. Bruce stamped his feet 3 times, the signal that he was ready to fight. Suddenly he swerved round and laid his opponent flat on the floor with a kick to the chin. Then he walked away, saying, let's do the next scene. Bruce was basically a lone wolf. He was the original inscrutable Oriental. He loved his American wife and adored his 2 children, his son Brandon and his daughter Shannon. Here's some more. Meet the Dragon, and there's a giant poster in the middle of it. If you're lucky enough to get that magazine in the 70s. And small still pictures of John Saxon fighting an opponent. Okay, so that was a rather short video on this particular magazine, a memorabilia, a magazine centered on the late great legend Kung Fu master, JKD creator, Bruce Lee. So if you enjoyed it, subscribe to our channel, give us a like, add your comments below, and then go share it with all your family, friends and neighbours that are hardcore, die-hard fans of the late great Kung Fu master Bruce Lee.